Organizations, corporations are broken, governments are broken, everything is broken. And actually the religions are also broken as institutions. They're totally broken.
A lot of people are reevaluating the ideas that they were given.
I don't need a fear of going to hell to be a nice person.
As religion has become more conservative, it's also become more extreme, and people simply walked away.
Do we want to identify as God-free, as godless, as secular?
It's kind of arrogant to think that we can understand everything that there is.
Doing life alone is terrible. Doing life together is joy. And it's also incredibly hard. Community is incredibly hard.
Just because people identify as not religious doesn't mean there's cohesiveness. So what does community mean? That is a big conversation in the world right now.
Today in America, the land of In God We Trust, the largest growing denomination is the one that doesn't associate with any religion at all. So what is making people leave? And how do we find meaning and community in today's increasingly fractured world?
So one of the things I try to do is try to visualize what's happened in America over the last 20 or 30 years, religiously and politically. So if we can extrapolate this graph out for 4 or 6 years, no religion is going to be the largest religious group in America probably in the next 5 to 10 years. When we talk about those of no religion, there's actually 3 different groups we talk about, which are atheists, agnostic, and the nothing in particular. The fastest growing religious group in America are nothing in particular people.
I believe we only have one life. Once we die, we go back into the universe. You know, we came from stardust. We go back to star stuff. And then just believe in treating people well. I was born into Buddhism, but we never really practiced. So I had free reign to kind of decide for myself. To be able to like make something, to transform something from like a big lump of clay to like a beautiful piece of pottery. As we mature, we're creating our own identity and our own belief systems from like what we experience.
Living in the South and not being religious, I am choosing to overtly identify as atheist.
It's kind of like when gay people had to be underground. And
Yeah.
everybody was, oh, that homosexual thing is so weird, because they didn't realize they knew gay people and that they were normal people like everybody else.
Yep.
Yeah.
What is going on now, I think people are not satisfied with the religious communities and not satisfied with nothing either. The million-dollar question of the day is, okay, if that's not it and nothing isn't it, then what is it? And that is messy.
90% of Americans say they believe in something. That comes from somewhere. We have a deep ache in our soul to believe in something. And faith is what works for me. Now, does it work for everybody? No, it doesn't. I'm bivocational, which is hard. I'm an academic, but I'm also a pastor, which is even harder. And we live in these turbulent times, which means that sometimes I don't feel like I belong. And leave here more encouraged and more inspired to go out and build the kingdom of God in Mount Vernon and across the world. First Baptist Church of Mount Vernon, Illinois used to be one of the largest churches in town. In 1964, we had 300 people in the congregation. By 1998, we had 96 people. And by 2019, we have 20 people. So when someone's sick, the first thing that mega churches are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and churches like ours are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Our congregation's been hollowed out because there are very few people that stand in the middle of a spectrum anymore.
There was always that little bit of missing. It's like, man, I kind of liked having someplace to go and meet with people.
All right, everybody, good morning and welcome to Sunday Assembly Nashville.
Sunday Assembly, it's a secular community.
It's also like church for atheists, which there's a lot of people in Sunday Assembly who hate that phrase. But I actually think it's a good shorthand. Like, take the template of religion, just keep the community part.
Good morning,
everyone.
And welcome to Sunday Assembly Nashville.
Welcome to worship at First Baptist Church.
Alrighty, Dawn. Let's welcome Dawn to the mic.
Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Dear Lord, we come before you now with thankful and grateful hearts. I think we've all had those moments in our lives that we feel like we don't fit in, that we don't belong, that we are on the edges of society.
That you're broken, that you don't fit in. You do fit.
This next song, you just say what you need to say and don't be afraid of it.
There's 40, 50 Sunday assemblies across the globe.
So there's Oasis, there's us.
Secular communities continue to pop up around the country, but these volunteer organizations are hard to maintain. NBC News looked for a Sunday Assembly chapter in New York and found that it had closed down, and others have too. So, while Sunday Assembly Nashville is fulfilling a major need for its members, this doesn't seem like the answer to all of our community woes. But that format, well, we know it works.
When people think of church, they think, oh, I'm going to go there to learn about the Bible or the Torah or the Quran. Church gives you a sense of belonging. That sense of like, we're in this together. Americans have become more socially isolated over time. And the decline in church attendance is a symptom of that larger disease. In the 1990s, there was a political scientist named Robert Putnam, wrote a book called Bowling Alone. And Putnam argues that Americans don't join stuff anymore. We bowl alone. We go by ourselves. He thought the reason we did all that was because of cable TV. If you wrote Bowling Alone today, it would be tweeting alone and Facebooking alone and Instagramming alone. And I would argue we're more isolated as a society now than we've ever been before.
In the 1830s, Thoreau made the moral statement where he said, the mass of men today lead lives of quiet desperation, he said. But I think it's more vocal desperation nowadays. The questioning of institutions is actually a good thing because it helps people develop a more critical intelligence and choose a meaning for their life. If we examine our experience and examine the world around us, we will realize that kindness is the natural way and that love and friendliness is what makes us happy.
We get the most creative when our backs are against the wall. Everybody has to agree that politics, religion is broken before we fix it. And I'm thinking it's got to break down further before we all say, okay, where's our common ground? If we could pull together, that would be great. And that's what I think in Sunday Assembly, I feel like I've got some of that. I mean, we got lucky that we met through two of them.
Big reason why I like ceramics and making ceramics, because like I feel there's connection.
That's something I'm satisfied with.
Between you and the person that uses the ceramic piece. So when they use it, it's kind of like we're holding hands almost a bit. I believe that we're all interconnected somehow.
We have to be willing to say, I'm not completely right and you're not completely wrong. Life is figuring out how to work through your problems together.
And what is it that ties all of us, regardless of what we believe, together?
The nature of life is love has the power, actually. It sounds very New Age, very Oprah. The hate, anger, dominating other people fails. Love rules, you know.
I really do believe we only have this one life, so we need to really make the most of it. And like, do you really want to go through life treating people badly, or do you want to go through life as a good person, helping, in return, spread light instead of darkness into the world?